I personally believe that Kroger brand Pop-Tarts are just as good as regular Pop-Tarts and not a disappointment in any way, shape, or form. Oh, you? You're disappointing. Let's talk about it. What does that even mean, Bauer's Game Corner? Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out The Wizard of Oz, the adventure book game from Ravensberger. This is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 plus, so it'll take you about 15 minutes per chapter. And in The Wizard of Oz adventure book, you're going to get this oh-so-fancy adventure book, which is going to walk you through 6 separate chapters, and you're going to be playing out the story of The Wizard of Oz. Each one is going to have its own unique setup, its own unique loss conditions, different rules, different challenges, and slightly different ways you're going to be trying to win the game. But the core gameplay is that you're going to be moving your cool little minis around. Ooh, there's the Wicked Witch. I'm so mean. Moving them around, collecting these story cards right here, and then turning in these story cards to complete various different challenges. Now, if you want to see exactly how the game is played, I did a gameplay video playing through the entire 6 chapters as a solo game, which I wouldn't really recommend it solo, but I'm bearing the lead here. We'll talk more about that in the pros and the cons. So if you want to see that, you can go there. This is the review, though, so these are my thoughts. Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the pro side, I want to start off positive. The game is neat. It is neat. It's kind of cool how each one is just a different chunk. So in the first one, you have to move the farm hands around, and you have to take care of the animals because the tornado's coming. So when you draw the chapter cards for that chapter, you know, it's like, oh, the tornado moves, the farm hands have to go do stuff. Then you get, oh, now you're in Wonderland, or wherever it is, Munchkin Land, excuse me. And this was all about getting the Munchkins to dance a certain way, and it's actually kind of interesting. You remember those puzzles you had as a kid where there's like 8 blocks, and then the 9th block wasn't filled in, and you have to move everything around to try and get the puzzle pieces in the right spot to make the picture. That's what this one kind of does. You have to move around and do that, and you lose if and then there's red smoke that will come up when you do the chapters. And then you move on and you go to this one where you have to avoid the fireballs because the witch is throwing fireballs at you. And this one, you have to go talk to the wizard, and then you have to get rid of cards to go to his throne room. And then you go to this one where you're finally, you have to free Dorothy and then melt the witch. And then you get back in the Glen of the Good Witch, and you do different things in the process. So each one is own different thing, and that's neat. And each one has its own little quirks. And I will say, they did an admirable job of making the theme come across in the game. That's a pro. Also, it's easy to learn and teach. There'll be a gameplay video up, hopefully a how to play video. Trying my teeth on that. Let me know what you think about that video if you end up watching it for this game. It's easy to learn and teach. That's a pro. I'm struggling here for the pros. I do think there's probably a sweet spot where this game works the best. I think it's probably 2 players. Not quite sure. I've only played it solo and 3 players. And I have played 8 chapters of this. But it doesn't feel right at the highest player count. And I did run I ran 1 mock chapter where I tried it at 4 players just to see what it felt like. And it doesn't feel right at solo. And I'll explain more about that in the rule book. But this is the pros. We're trying to stay positive here. The positive part is I think there is a certain player count where this works the best. Ideally, that's every player count, but that's just not possible in most games. Any other pros? I like the artwork. And here's the bottom line. If you love The Wizard of Oz, like, love it. How I love board games, for instance. I think you're going to want this game. It's good enough. Moving on to the cons. If that's not you, I don't think this is good enough. And it really kind of went downhill for me. First 3 chapters, I completed them, and I said to myself, this game's okay. I figured out I did a rule wrong, did it right, didn't really improve the gameplay as much as I was hoping it would. In chapters 4 through 6, and honestly, it kind of, the wheels just came off, and I could go through chapter by chapter and tell you exactly what I didn't like. And it just... So there's little things. So first and foremost, if you're looking at this as a solo experience, there is one major thing in the game which makes the game easier at the higher player counts. I experienced this with my kids. And that is you can trade one of your cards with someone else. Now, when you're playing with players, that's fine, but if you're playing solo, and if you're actually playing true solo, not two-handed solo, which I was playing true solo, there's no one to trade with. And they don't have anything in the rules to fix that. And it's so simple to fix. That's one of the things. That's one of the things that really annoyed me about this game. This rule booklet could have been better. Just like I believe this game could have been better. Just with more time simmering, more time bubbling. I think they could have hammered out a lot of my issues that I have with this game. But you can't trade with anybody. So all it is just deal the top 4 cards and you can trade those. And that's just there you go. The economy and the thing is fixed. You could do something like that, but they just didn't. So if you're planning on playing the solo, I would recommend either doing it two-handed or just implementing that really super simple house rule that should be in the rule booklet. And while we're on the rule booklet, I am super annoyed. And I do a Fiverr pledge level where I analyze rule booklets to get my honest thoughts on them. And I hate, this is the chapter FAQ. That is a grand total of 6 questions on one double-sided large page. And the worst part is, I'm pretty sure with one of these questions, it's completely useless because the question is answered verbatim in the setup, which means you're obviously going to read it. It's just, the rule booklet could have been better. It's not bad. It's not a bad rule booklet. I won't say that, but it's not a good rule booklet. There were a couple times where I was like, I wish I would have known that before. Minor nitpicks, okay? Because we're here for the gameplay. You're more concerned about the gameplay. So let's actually break it down. What I didn't particularly like about the game, and the biggest issue that I had with the game, especially playing as a solo, is it just boiled down to so dang much. What am I going to do on my turn? Next to nothing, and then I hope I get the cards that I need. Because the core gameplay loop is the beginning of every turn, you're going to move minis around. And then you have this freeform part of your turn, where you can pretty much do whatever you want. And it's on this actually really nice, big, that's a pro, big player reference card, go Ravensberger, thing. And it says you can do any or all of these in whatever order you want. And it pretty much is discarding cards to move yourself around the board, completing challenges, playing your special cards, because once again, the special cards, and that is actually one of the pros. I do want to give that. I want to go back to the pros, because I forgot about some of the pros. I do like the special cards in the game. They're unique, they're varied, they do some cool stuff, they can really save your butt sometimes. Sometimes they can be kind of useless. But I do like the basic system they have there. And that's what I missed out on the first 3 games because I didn't realize this. So the first game I played right, the second or third game I played incorrect. Because I should have had more story cards mixed into my deck. And as you play through the game, you're going to get more of those story cards, and it will make the game easier, and it will make it less likely that you're going to have to draw, you're going to have lame turns, which we'll get to the lame turns, which is one of my main issues. So I like that. I do like that mechanism where you slowly unlock stuff, and when you get Chapter 2, now you have some of these cards, and Chapter 3 you have some of these cards. That's cool. For the diehard fans. But back to the gameplay. It just felt like I was drawing cards. And even, in Chapter 6, let's just get into it. Let's just break it down. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, I didn't have a blue card if I recall correctly, so I just kept having to do pretty much nothing. And so what'll happen is you'll get to the point where it's like, all right, I'm exactly where I need to be. Things have been completed. I just need one freaking red card. This is all I need. I just need this one red card. That's it. So what do you do in your turn? Well, I'm already in my right spot. There's nothing I really need to do. So I will do nothing on my turn. And then I will draw 2 cards, because the next thing you do in your turn, after you've done your big actions and stuff, is you get to draw 2 cards. And I didn't draw a red. Guess what I'm going to do next turn? The exact same thing. So if I'm playing at the higher player count, that might mean there could just be turn after turn where people are just now that is remedied though, because you could trade cards at the higher player count. Which once again, and here's my thing, I think this would actually be a good game if you're planning on playing this at 2 or 3 players. I think it gets pulled up from an okay game, which is what I'm ranking it as my solo experience. But that being said, on the flip side, when I was playing with my kids, it was a little too easy. Because you got tons of cards at your disposal. So you're playing at 4 cards, there's not going to be that much of a challenge moving cards around. You just talk about exactly what you're going to do. And that's why I specifically mentioned in the pros, there's a thin line. There's this player count, this player count, for different reasons. And then we get to right here, it's that could be good. There's a way, I think, to make this good. If you're a big fan of The Wizard of Oz, and you're playing probably at 2 players, that'd probably be the sweet spot. then yes, you might check this one out, because it's also only $30. This is not a full $60 game, which does make me rate it slightly less harshly, you know? And that price is only conceivably going to go down. You know, you might be able to swap this up for $20. And if you can pick this up for $20, I think this is a fun family night. So that's the other thing I need to mention on the con side. This is not something I would play with a game night. Unless you are just into, you know, very light stuff, if you're just like Splendor, Dominion, that sort of thing at your game nights, you're newer to the hobby. I'm not saying that in a negative way. Welcome aboard. This one, I think, could scratch that itch. Because it feels like they tried to make like a very simplified Wizard of Oz, Gloomhaven style thing. And not saying the gameplays are similar, but the basic board and all the other stuff. All right, so let's keep going. This one right here, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was just waiting for cards. This one right here, oh, this one was super annoying. So pretty much I just stood right here for like 3 turns. Now this one I will say, I'll take this one on the chin, because that's when I was screwing up game 3, but then started game 4. This one there was no suspense at all. Yeah, that's what this one was. So this one as a solo gamer was super unsuspenseful, but then at the same time, had I randomly drawn other different cards, it would have been insanely suspenseful, and I would be like, this is stupidly hard. Because in Chapter 4, how it works is, the witch is like writing a message in the sky. And the only way that she starts writing the message in the sky is if you get card 1. And what happened with me was card 1 was all the way at the bottom. So the first 5 turns, I did whatever the heck I wanted, and there was no suspense at all, and then I got to card 1. And there was zero suspense in that game, pretty much. And that's what I'm saying, it just feels weirdly balanced. And then we got here, I don't even remember what was here. Oh, there was something with the rules where I wish they would have mentioned something was double-sided, and it was you get it. I think you get it. The Wizard of Oz from Ravensberger. I think with a house rule, if you're planning on playing it solo, or I think if you're playing at the lower player counts, or as long as you know going into it, it's probably going to be a very easy experience at the higher player counts, being able to trade 1 card every turn. It's okay to good. That's where I'm putting this. I think I'm going to give this one final grade a 6.5. I don't think it's going to tear down the house for most people, but it's short. 15. That's another pro. Honestly, is it's 15 minutes per chapter, and I'd say that's right about right. And it's thematic enough to get it. It feels like it's a game that's just good enough. And yeah, that's just a hard one for me to recommend. So if you're a fan of Wizard of Oz, maybe check this one out. You find it a little bit cheaper. But everybody else, like, if you don't miss this one, I don't think you're gonna be that upset about it. I don't think anybody's like, oh, you gotta try this one. It's so good. Like that, I just don't see that coming from most people with this game. But have you played it? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, let me know in the comments below. Oh, one more thing. In the comments below, Ravensberger's been doing this. They made a Jaws game, which apparently is absolutely fantastic. They made this. They're doing the movie IPs. What movie would you like to see turned into it turned into an adventure-style game? I want Pulp Fiction. Oh, that'd be so cool. Oh, I want a Pulp Fiction book. It would be jumping all around. That'd be cool. Let me know in the comments below which one you want. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. This video is brought to you by all of my amazing Patreon supporters. And I would love it if you would join their ranks and have your name immortalized in the end of many of my videos for the end of time. But consider for only $1 a month. And as always, thanks for stopping by.